Harry, you seem to be the last person left in America who's actually believing what the White House is saying about all this. When what is crystal clear is that they've been misleading the American people and the American media for a very long time. Why are you believing them?
Piers, spare me that Joe Biden is running cover and we're lying to the American people. This is a transparent administration. And again, I just find it funny that we're talking about transparency issues with Biden when Donald Trump is the biggest liar known to man. He is one of the worst people in America.
So is anybody doubting that Harry Sisson is a paid shill for Joe Biden at this point? I mean, we've all seen enough with our own eyes that Joe Biden is showing definite signs of dementia, of aging. The word is that there's a Parkinson's doctor that's been visiting the White House on a monthly basis. I mean, it's just become obvious. It's so obvious that even the mainstream media that has covered for Joe Biden for years can't do it anymore. If they were to go out there and make the same points and sound like Harry Sisson, nobody would pay any more attention to him. I don't know why anybody pays attention to this guy, but he has an audience. It's probably a bunch of young people, or maybe it's just a bunch of bots from the same people that are paying him. But regardless, the one thing that they can all agree with, besides Harry, is that Joe Biden should not be running this country for the next 4 years, even the next half a year that he still has on this current term. But if you're like me, you hope that Joe Biden can last and that the country won't fall apart, because Trump has the easiest way of winning in 2024 if Joe Biden is the one on the ticket, which they're running out of time, and I personally believe they've already ran out of time and that they can't replace Joe Biden at this point. If they replace him at this point without rerunning those primaries, they are going against the American people's vote, which is completely out of line and a disservice to the Democratic voter. And I would hope and think that those people would be so jaded that they're either going to go out there and vote for a Jill Stein, like Crystal Ball says she's going to do, or just not vote, or maybe even possibly vote for Donald Trump. If you like content like this, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button as you go along. Now let's check out the video.
Harry Sisson, you were very gung-ho last time you came on, and you very artfully cut up parts of our discussion last time to make it look like I'd given a warm and emphatic endorsement of President Biden. So let me start our conversation today by being crystal clear. I think he should quit immediately to give the Democrats any hope. And frankly, either way now, I suspect Donald Trump has got this election in the bag. Over to you, Harry.
Well, also, Piers, I saw you retweeted an article where it said you tore up a literal TikToker. So we're just playing the same game. No, well, President Biden
I don't disagree with you.
There you go. I love it. Look, President Biden should be the nominee. I wonder where Dave got his MD, where he got his degree to specialize in neurology. And I just find it funny how he's saying, oh, we shouldn't respect Biden and Karine Jean-Pierre, but I'm sure that he's voting for the convicted felon and the proven sexual abuser who defamed his victim, and he gives his respect to him every single day. But
hey, Harry, do you think that Joe Biden is cognitively able to be president? Yes or no?
Yes, I do. You can check out the neurology report he had earlier this year in February, where there said there was no concern, no cognitive disorder. That's coming from an actual doctor, actual neurologist.
We're all making this up. Everything we see every day, the inability to say one complete sentence. We're all making it up.
I don't know. Watch his speeches. You should watch his speech he gave in Philly the other day at the church. It was fabulous. It was incredibly moving.
Well, okay. I tell you what. Okay, let's watch
him. Off a teleprompter.
Hang on. Let's watch since Harry wants to see. Since Harry wants to see a clip from the church, let's take a look at what happened in the church.
Let us stand together. Oh, at the cross, where I first saw the light.
He has no idea what he's doing there, Harry. He doesn't know what day it is.
Oh my gosh.
It's actually really disturbing to watch Joe Biden in public these days. He doesn't know where he is or what he's doing. He's the president of the United States. We're now told he has to go to bed, early. He can't be up, working past 4 o'clock in the afternoon because he's too elderly and infirm. He's the president of the United States. He's the leader of the free world. This is a sick joke, literally, because the man is unfit mentally and physically to do the job. You know that, Harry. In your heart, you know that.
You played a clip of the man sitting there. Does either Crystal or Dave look like they're out of it? No, they're just sitting there, just looking at the camera, just like Joe Biden is just sitting there. He wasn't doing anything. You're trying to frame an innocent video and give a nefarious explanation for it. Come on, Piers, let's be honest about this. Let's be honest about this. There was a neurology report in February where he was cleared by an actual doctor, an actual neurologist, and that's what we should be focusing on. Not these like weird selective clips that conservatives, not saying you, Piers, but conservatives push on social media.
All right, let me bring
that's
in...
just complete nonsense. That's utter nonsense. You know, it's
Dave,
weird to be so young and so sold out for the system. I got to tell you, it's really bizarre. Everyone knows that the man cannot say one complete sentence off the top of his head without slurring. The teleprompter reading is horrible. And even in the Joe Scarborough and Stephanopoulos interviews post-debate, they were both probably worse than the debate. So the people trying to help him right now are actually making it worse by letting him speak.
Let me bring in... hang on. Let me bring in Crystal. She's been waiting very patiently. Crystal, I'm in London at the moment. I got to say, the real problem for Joe Biden, he's become a complete laughingstock around the world. I mean, there are jokes being made about him all day long here. Doing a Biden means that you've basically lost the plot. Not knowing where you are, what you're doing is doing a Biden, and so on. When a president becomes a complete laughingstock like this, and there's ample evidence on camera of his clear cognitive decline, where does this leave America right now?
Well, it's an utter and complete disaster. And I know a lot of the discussion focuses on November and can he beat Trump and the electoralism, et cetera. But we need to be asking the question, who's running the country right now? And I think given the level of decline that we saw at the debate, it also becomes a lot more clear why his policy, for example, in Israel has been such a failure, why he's gotten repeatedly run over by Netanyahu, has just continued to supply weapons in spite of what is a clear genocide at this point. The failures are here and now. And so it's incredibly pressing. And Piers, you make a great point. Some of the first people to really sound the alarm in recent days were G7 leaders who were shocked by his decline. Now, Dave is right that some of us on the left and some on the right have been talking about this manifest decline over a number of years. But if you compare him just to 2020, it's quite astonishing. So, one thing I would say is, very well what Harry and other defenders would be saying if the shoe was on the other foot. If you had Trump displaying clear signs of Parkinson's, which I'm not an expert, I'm not diagnosing him, but multiple doctors have come out and said these are classic symptoms of Parkinson's. You learned that a Parkinson's expert had visited the White House 8 times in 8 months, and the White House completely stonewalled when asked why that expert was there. One other thing to add to your thesis that this is all becoming quite Trumpian is the fact that his physician, who Harry's, hanging his hat on, giving him the clean bill of health, et cetera, he's a personal family friend and business associate of the president's brother.
I'm starting to like that phrase, Trumpian. I don't know about you. Let me know in the comments what you think about it. I've been a fan of the NFL for a long time, ever since I was a kid. They've been in a lot of trouble over CTE. It's a brain condition that happens to these athletes as they get older and they express, dementia and things like that. That is a result from being hit in the head, essentially, something that happens in the NFL. The NFL has been accused and they've actually been sued, and there's a huge lawsuit that they lost to the players, to former players that were victims of CTE, right? The NFL knew that these guys were causing long-term trauma to their brains, and the NFL was trying to hide it and not protect the players. One way that they were getting away with it was the team doctors. The team doctors were on the team. They were paid by the team. They were paid by the NFL. And knowing that, whenever a player would come over to them and say that they have a condition or they're feeling something like they were knocked out, they had a concussion, the doctor would then approve that player to go back in the game, thus doing more damage to their brain. And what they were doing was they were serving the will of the NFL, they were serving the will of the team, and they weren't looking out for the betterment of the player. That makes me think of these doctors that are going to the White House that are giving Biden the clean bill of slate. Now, I'm not accusing them of anything, but it makes me wonder if a similar thing is going on, in that they know that if they diagnose the President of the United States with Alzheimer's or dementia, it could be the end of their practice. It could be the end of them being able to call themselves a doctor. And it certainly could cost them lots and lots of money. So every time Harry says that Biden has been deemed in February a clean bill of health by a doctor, that grain of salt pops into my head.
I mean, look, the problem, Harry, you've got is that Karine Jean-Pierre is there every day saying stuff that then gets completely contradicted within hours. Originally the excuse for the debate performance was he had a bad cold. Then it was he had jet lag 2 weeks after he got home. I mean, none of this makes any sense, right? The truth is that there is something going on here and we're not being told the truth. That's the truth. And it's been going on for years. I mean, I've written a lot of columns for the New York Post in which I've continually expressed serious concern about Joe Biden's cognitive decline and his physical performance. The way he kept stumbling over, falling off bikes, tripping down Air Force One, face planting on stage at one event. But it's also the continual gaffes where he keeps saying things the White House has to immediately rein back. This is a quite dangerous situation, I think, where the most powerful man in America right now is not able to function properly at his job at a time when the world feels quite perilous and needs a sharp president of the United States. Do you not think that? I mean, when you watch him, do you feel remotely reassured that he's completely in charge here?
Yeah, I mean, I think that this is all just hyperbole. Like, this is nonsense. I don't know why we're talking about Biden's mental state when we can just look at his record, right? Well, let's focus on the policy, the results, and not just like, oh, Joe Biden looks weird in this one clip. 15 million jobs, historic investment in infrastructure, the largest since Eisenhower, expanding veterans health care, capping insulin at $35 a month. The list goes on. Donald Trump couldn't dream of doing these things. So for me, as a young voter, I'm looking at who's going to get the job done, who's going to make the country better, and that's Joe Biden. Donald Trump has no policy to run on, and his defenders will go around saying, oh, the felonies don't matter, oh, the sexual abuse doesn't matter, oh, the business fraud doesn't matter, but then they have no policy to even justify voting for that guy.
Harry, you're going to still be here when Joe Biden is long gone. So running cover for a guy that clearly is not capable for the job is not a long-term strategy for your career. That's just a little career advice for you. But in terms of the policies, look, I am not a Democrat.
For a sexual abuser is, Dave?
I don't support any of Joe Biden's policies, but the policies objectively have been horrible. 7 to 10, some people say 12 million illegals in this country in 3+ years. The interest rates, the mortgage rates, the crime in blue cities, the drugs that have been brought in, the fentanyl crisis. We have the disasters across the world that if we had projected any strength would not be happening. We all know all of this, and I say that as someone that doesn't support the guy, but as an American, it's like getting onto a plane. Would you prefer that the pilot be able to actually fly the plane or not? So whether I like the policies or not, or agree or not, I would like the president to be competent, to be able to literally say one sentence without slurring.
One thing I would say to Harry is, listen, I'm not in the cult. I already wasn't voting for Joe Biden because of the genocide in Gaza. I'm voting for Dr. Jill Stein. However, there were things that I liked about his domestic policy that I support, right? So Harry, if you love the Biden policies, don't you want a candidate that can actually talk about those policies, that can actually run on those policies and win? Because right now, it's incredibly clear. Biden is literally the weakest Democrat that you could possibly put up. And also, by the way, I'm sure that you're the type that thinks that Donald Trump getting reelected is dangerous, as I do, and it's an existential threat. You have no credibility to say those things anymore because you are sacrificing the chance to beat him to this cult of personality that you clearly have bought into.
Oh, Crystal, come on now. You got to be voting for Joe Biden. I mean, when Donald Trump, if he wins and appoints a bunch of extreme justices, I'm sure you'll be upset at that vote at that point. No, Joe Biden has incumbency advantage.
I personally have a moral red line when it comes to genocide, okay? Call me crazy, but I do have a litmus test on that.
There's no genocide,
and then when Donald Trump is targeting journalists and like throwing them in jail, calling it an official act, I'm sure you'll have no problem.
That's the one bad thing about this interview is a lot of them start talking at the same time and you can't make out what they're saying without rewinding it a couple times. So I do apologize about that. I did try to cut out as much of it as possible. But once again, here's Harry just completely shilling for the Biden administration, acting like Joe Biden is the best thing to happen to America since sliced bread. And it's just sad and ridiculous.
If you think Donald Trump is going to lock you up and throw you in jail, wouldn't you want a candidate who could make that case? who could win because Joe Biden is behind the polls of every single swing state Democrat in the country.
He's coming for you as well. He's going to call him an official act, Crystal. He's coming for you as well.
That's why I want Biden to get out of the race so that Democrats have a better chance to win.
Maybe you should vote for Joe Biden as opposed to throwing away your vote to somebody who's not going to win.
If he wasn't doing a genocide, and maybe if there was someone else at the top of the ticket who wasn't quite so genocidal, I might vote for them.
Yeah, no, this is great. A Biden voter fighting with the Jill Stein voter.
We have open debate on our side.
Crystal, there is no genocide in Gaza. I can teach you about that another time.
Shut up, Dave. We're trying to win an election here. If she wants to believe there's a genocide going on in Gaza, and that's the reason why she won't vote for Biden, then let her believe it. You don't have to school her on everything. She's not going to listen to you anyways, so just shut up, dude.
But this is exactly what was going to happen with the Democrats. They created this ridiculous intersectional group of people, of radical leftists and socialists and progressives.
What are you talking about? If they were radical leftists, I might vote for them. Please.
And they were all going to implode at some point. The funny part of what's happening right now,
I don't even know what you're talking about right now, Dave.
The moderate group, I would say, the moderate Democrats are running cover for a man with dementia that obviously should not be president. Piers, what I'm worried about at the moment is, as weak as Biden is, and he's weak literally and electorally and figuratively, is that what's going to happen here is if they are able to push him out, if the pressure just becomes too big to bear, that what we're going to see is overnight the same media that lied about all of this for 4 years by not covering his decline will suddenly bring in Kamala, or whether it's they figure out something with Hillary or Gavin or Gretchen Whitmer or whatever, and overnight you will watch the narrative flip from, oh, we got rid of the old guy and here's Kamala to save democracy from orange Hitler Donald Trump. And we will see the media do it overnight, I guarantee you, once they push him out. The mainstream media are the very people who got us into this mess in the first place. If they would have been honest with us for the last 4 years about his mental decline, he probably wouldn't have been the nominee 4 years ago, and certainly wouldn't be this time. But they ran cover for him, and the only reason we're in this situation, and you, unfortunately, are having to run cover for a guy that simply does not care about you or the country and doesn't know what he cares about, is because they lied to us the entire time. If they had done their job, if they had done what I think I was trying to do, what Piers was trying to do, what Tyrus was trying to do, and many other people online, just calling balls and strikes, there's something wrong with the guy, we have all known it, then we would not be in this situation. But we are in a perilous situation as a country right now because the media didn't hold him to account, and she's pissed about
Dave,
that because now she's getting real questions.
And Dave, I'm sure you're an honest journalist who covered President Biden's neurological exam in February, right? You read the report where it found that there was nothing wrong with him. You were honest about that, right? There was no running cover for your guy, Donald Trump.
I don't consider myself a journalist. I give people
whatever
my
you call yourself,
but I don't
leader,
think anyone at
sure.
CNN or New York Times or Washington Post is a journalist either. But sometimes, Harry, and again, you might learn this with age, sometimes the system kind of lies, and sometimes the system runs cover for people in power. And it will all leak one day. It will all break.
Dave, did you or did you not cover President Biden's neurological exam?
Harry, you seem to be the last person left in America who's actually believing what the White House is saying about all this. When what is crystal clear is that they've been misleading the American people and the American media for a very long time. Why are you believing them?
Piers, spare me that Joe Biden is running cover and we're lying to the American people. This is a transparent administration. And again, I just find it funny that we're talking about transparency issues with Biden when Donald Trump is the biggest liar known to man.
But
He's
Harry,
one of the worst people in America. It's remarkable.
Here's the difference. Donald Trump is not the current president of the United States. He's not the commander-in-chief.
But he could be.
I agree with you.
Let me ask Tyrus
I agree with you. Donald Trump sucks. You should want to defeat him. You're backing the weakest candidate possible.
And I do, and that's why I'm voting.
I mean, Harry, this idea that Joe Biden can't be replaced, of course he can. Not least when so many Democrat and liberal skewing media, including the New York Times twice now, demanding he step aside. He's lost his own room. You know, 3/4 of Democrat voters think he's too old to run again. The room has gone, his own room. Forget what Republicans think. Forget what people like me think who are not even American citizens. None of that matters. He's lost his own side. They're gone. You're the last one standing. It's you, Harry Sisson. That's it.
Yeah, no, I don't think so. There are tens of millions of Americans out there who voted for Joe Biden in the primary. They voted for him to be the guy, and he's going to be the guy. He has a terrific record to run on. And again, we don't have to have this nonsense conversation about, oh, the Jill Biden's running the country and diving into conspiracies. Let's just look at the record, ladies and gents. Let's focus on what they're getting done for the country, what Joe Biden would do versus what Donald Trump would do.
And if it's so good, Harry, if his record is so good, why is his approval rating at an all-time low? And why is it that no American president, incumbent president, with this approval rating of 37%, or whatever it is now, has never, ever won again or been re-elected with that approval rating in election year? How do you explain it if he's such a great president who's done such a great job?
Well, we're in uncharted territory right now with unique partisanship in the country. So the approval rating being low doesn't necessarily mean that somebody's not going to vote for an individual.
Nobody has ever been re-elected with that approval rating.
And we've never had this much divide in the country, at least in modern American politics. So in terms of why the approval rating is low,
look, we definitely didn't have this kind of divide under President Trump. The media was very fair then at that point.
Yeah, no, I think the divide is worse now because we have Donald Trump running around saying that the FBI is corrupt, the DOJ is corrupt, his prosecution was corrupt, the women lie about him and all this stuff. So yeah, I think we have more divide when your cult leader is just lying constantly.
I'd like to see Harry Sisson provide some proof that those are lies. Because we know that Obama spied on Trump. We know that the mainstream media goes in lockstep with whatever the Democrats say. And we've all seen the videos now on what actually happened on January 6th, where the Capitol Police opened the doors, escorted people around, including the shaman. And it's only people like Harry that won't see the truth, who then continue to call Trump a liar. Even Snopes came out and confirmed the very fine people hoax that a lot of Democrats still claim to, including Biden in the debate. The DOJ, Merrick Garland, is about to be held in contempt of Congress. At least hopefully he should be, because he won't provide the audio tapes of the Robert Hur interview of Joe Biden. They only give the physical transcript, which can be easily edited. We want to hear the actual words, the live recording. And the Democrats like Harry have bought into the fear-mongering, and they're scared of Trump when they shouldn't be, because he's an America First type president, and that means for all Americans, including Harry.
But why is the approval rating low? Look, we've had a rough couple of years due to the COVID pandemic. Inflation has been high because of it. This is happening around the world. Gas prices were high because of it. Grocery prices were high because of it. This is not a Joe Biden problem. But often Americans and people in countries around the world, just in Great Britain and Canada as well, will point the finger at the top dog, the leader. And that's just what's happening with Joe Biden, even though he bears no responsibility. So that's why.
Oh my God.
But once we get, hold on now. Once we get out there and start talking about the policy, talk with Joe Biden, that is when people's minds are going to change.
Here's the thing. He can't talk about the policy. He can't talk about the policy. He's losing.
Crystal, did you not understand him when he was on the debate stage talking about 1 million people signing up for the PAC tax?
No, I didn't. I didn't understand much of what he said on the debate stage. Neither did anyone else in America, okay? So he is losing to Donald Trump. In the average of polls, it's by 4 points. Last time around, at this point in the race, he was winning by 9 and dramatically underperformed. He is losing, and he is incapable of campaigning to bring those numbers up and come from behind. I think any Democrat you put at the ticket at this point is going to be at a major disadvantage because of how things have gone. But anyone else would have a better shot.
Okay, that leads me to my final question for all of you. It's the same one. And I'll start with you, Crystal. Who is the race going to ultimately be come November? Who will it be between, and who will win?
As of today, I think Biden has decided, based on Trump gave a very accurate interpretation, his ego is keeping him in. Democrats are cowards. They're folding. I think it will be Trump versus Biden, and I think Trump will win.
Tyrus?
Yes, it will be Joe Biden. It should be. He's fine. Ask his #1 supporter. Harry, is he good to go? Harry says yes. Let's go.
And if it's Trump Biden, who wins, Tyrus?
Trump.
Okay, Dave Rubin.
Well, first off, I just want to say that I think every Democrat should vote for Jill Stein. That is the answer here for the Democrat Party, and that would be a good move for all lefties right there. That's one thing. No, I think that the pressure will come to bear. The machine, there is no genocide. Get over it. Okay.
They killed 8%
the machine
of the
and the pressure will
population in
become
Gaza.
too big
There
to
is very
bear,
much a genocide.
and they will push Biden out, and they just don't have a mechanism for it to be anyone other than Kamala. So it'll be Kamala and somebody. And as I said earlier, you will watch the machine overnight like that. It will be that she is here to save democracy against Orange Hitler. And then suddenly everyone will forget that all of this happened. And that's the damn shame. Trump will win.
Okay. And Harry, I think I know where this is going, but who do you think the two nominees will be in the end, and who will win?
Yeah, it's going to be Joe Biden versus Donald Trump, and then Joe Biden's going to win. And Piers, I'd love to chat with you after the election, and maybe everybody on this panel, and then have everybody say, "Oh, well, maybe we were wrong. Maybe we're."
Well, you're a big TikTok influencer, right? So
I'll be on a date.
You've got a few.
Good for you, man.
You've made a few dollars, Harry. So why don't we have a little wager? $10,000 to a charity of your choice. I say Biden can't possibly win. You think he can? If Biden is not president, come the day after the election, 10,000 to charity?
I mean, I personally don't bet on politics. I'm happy to have another bet to do something with charity. We can do something, absolutely no problem.
But you wouldn't put your money where your mouth is on Biden then?
I don't bet on politics. I mean, we can do something else. You can arrange it. I'm happy to donate money to charity. Let's do like St. Jude or something like that.
But just to be clear, you wouldn't do a charity bet if it's Biden involved.
I wouldn't bet on a Democratic race that's 99% likely for the Democrat. I just don't bet on politics. It's fundamental.
And there you have it. He won't put up the wager because he knows that Biden won't win, and he's only in it for the money. And once Biden is done, he's not getting any more money for shilling for Biden. So why would he give up 10 grand in the end of his saying it's fundamental is quite the cop-out. The video is over. And if you don't mind, thank you for staying to the end. I hope you were entertained. If you were, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. And I'll see you guys in the next video.